Listen to me. Life doesn't play fair. It won't wait for you to be ready. It won't care how much you've already struggled or how hard you've worked. It will hit when you least expect it, knock the wind out of you, and leave you wondering if you've got anything left to give. And when that moment comes, you'll have a choice. You can let the weight of it crush you, let the disappointment sink in, let fear convince you that it's over, or you can rise. Even when it hurts, even when you're tired, even when everything in you screams that it would be easier to stay down. Most people don't get back up. They let failure define them. They trade their dreams for comfort because fighting for something greater feels too hard. But you are not most people. You weren't put on this earth to barely get by. You weren't created just to exist. There is a fire in you, something God placed deep inside that no amount of hardship can erase, unless you let it. Real strength isn't about how hard you hit back. It's about how many times you refuse to stay defeated. It's built in the battles you thought you'd lose but somehow survived. And pain? It doesn't last. But if you walk away from what God has called you to, if you quit on the purpose He's given you, that regret will weigh more than any struggle ever could. The line between victory and defeat is razor thin. It's not always years of effort that make the difference. It's a single decision. One moment of courage, one step forward when everything in you screams to turn back. That's all it takes to separate those who rise from those who disappear into the background. And the opportunities you've been waiting for, they're not as far away as they seem. They're buried in the everyday moments you ignore, hidden in the chances you hesitate to take, in the sacrifices you refuse to make. But if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll miss what God has already placed in front of you. If He has given you a dream, you can't afford to be careless with it. Guard it. Protect it. Refuse to let fear or doubt steal what He's put inside of you, because the moment you step into something greater, expect resistance. People will question you. They'll tell you it's impossible, not because it is, but because they gave up on their own dreams and want you to do the same. Don't let their failures dictate your future. Their limits don't have to be yours. If you know God has called you to something, stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop searching for approval. Move. Because faith without action is empty, and nothing in your life will change if you refuse to take the first step. And don't be afraid to fail. Failure isn't the end. It's part of the process. Every setback, every rejection, every wrong turn is teaching you, shaping you, preparing you for what's ahead. The only real failure is quitting. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that separates those who win from those who lose is what they choose to believe. One says I can, the other says I can't, and they're both right. So I ask you, what will you choose? People say they want a life that matters. They talk about purpose, success, and making a difference, but only if it comes without struggle. They want the blessing without the burden, the results without the sacrifice. They say they're ready for more, but when it requires change, when it calls them to let go of what's comfortable, to break old habits, to step into the unknown, they hesitate. They want God's plan, but only if it fits neatly into their own. Only if it doesn't cost them their pride, their convenience, their need to be liked. But real purpose doesn't wait for permission. It won't fit into the box of what's easy. It demands that you want it more than comfort, more than approval, more than the version of yourself that plays it safe. God didn't create you to live beneath your calling. He didn't place potential inside you for it to sit unused. But too often people stay stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they let fear convince them to settle. They're afraid of stepping out, afraid of failure, afraid of what might happen if they actually become who God created them to be. And maybe that's you. Maybe you feel that tension, the part of you that knows you were made for more but keeps holding back. But at some point you have to make a decision. Will you keep living at half your potential, or will you push past the fear and step into the life God is calling you to? Because the world will challenge you, life will test you, the enemy will try to keep you small, but in the end, no one else can decide for you. You have to choose. Will you rise? Will you become everything God created you to be? Or will you stay where it's safe, where it's easy, where nothing ever changes? Decide right now that giving up is not an option, that no matter what comes against you, doubt, failure, setbacks, you will not break. That when things get hard, when others question you, when you feel like you have nothing left, you will still stand. Why not you? Who told you that you don't have what it takes? Who decided that you couldn't be the one to rise, the one to break the cycle, the one to change everything? If God is for you, what's stopping you? Life doesn't play fair. It will hit you when you least expect it. It will test you when you feel the weakest. It will push you to the edge and dare you to quit. And in those moments, doubt will creep in. Fear will whisper that it's over, that you're not strong enough, that you're wasting your time. But that's a lie, because God didn't create you to fold under pressure. He didn't bring you this far to let you break now. The struggle you're facing isn't here to destroy you. It's here to develop you. Every challenge, every disappointment, every battle is shaping you into someone who can handle the weight of what God has for you. Pressure doesn't just crush, it strengthens. Fire doesn't just burn, it refines. The very thing that was meant to take you out will become the thing that makes you unstoppable. But you have to decide, will you let the struggle define you, or will you use it to rise? Most people never step into what they were meant for, not because they lack potential, but because they stop the moment things get tough. They assume that if something is from God, it should be effortless, that if they were truly called, doors would swing open without resistance. But that's not how purpose works. It's not waiting around the corner, ready to introduce itself when life feels convenient. It's uncovered in the moments you push past your limits, in the battles you refuse to walk away from. Strength isn't something you wake up with one day. It's something built through every struggle, every late night, every tear you refuse to let be wasted. And if you keep backing down every time it gets uncomfortable, you'll never see what God was preparing for you on the other side of your perseverance. So if you have to cry, cry while you press forward. If you're hurting, let that pain mean something. If you trip, fall in the direction of progress. But don't you dare quit, because this battle, it's not just about you. There's someone waiting for the person you're becoming. There's a life you haven't impacted yet, a testimony you haven't finished writing. If you could see yourself the way God does, quitting wouldn't even be an option. If you truly grasp the weight of what He's called you to, you'd stop expecting an easy road and start walking with boldness, no matter what comes against you. Yes, there will be setbacks. There will be moments that push you further than you thought you could go. That's the cost of anything meaningful. So stop looking for shortcuts. Stop blaming your past. Stop waiting for everything to fall into place. The world doesn't owe you a thing, but God has already equipped you with everything you need. Now it's on you to rise up and take hold of it. Every single day you wake up is another chance, another opportunity to step into who you were meant to be. But opportunities don't change lives. You can sit on the edge of a breakthrough forever, but until you move, nothing shifts. Stop looking back. The past won't rewrite itself, and regret won't rebuild what's already gone. And stop waiting for someone to come pull you out of where you are. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can fight the battles that were meant to make you stronger. No one else can carry out the purpose God designed specifically for you. So now, right now, the choice is in your hands. Will you step into what God has for you, or will you keep making excuses? You weren't made to settle for an ordinary, empty existence. You weren't designed to sit on the sidelines, watching others step up while you shrink back. God didn't pour His Spirit into you just to have you play it safe. He didn't equip you with strength, creativity, and purpose just for you to hesitate. Everything you need to build, to grow, to impact lives, it's already inside you. But potential that isn't used is potential wasted. Fear, doubt, and every excuse you've ever made are nothing more than illusions. They only have power if you let them. The moment you decide to stop overthinking and start moving in faith, you'll realize the biggest thing holding you back wasn't the obstacles in your way. It was the belief that you couldn't get past them. So what will you do? Will you let another day slip by, waiting for the perfect moment? Or will you step up, take what God has given you, and start living like you were meant to? You stand at the edge of a choice that will shape everything. This is the moment, the line between who you've been and who you are becoming. The voices of fear will tell you to wait, to play it safe, to shrink back into what is familiar. But deep inside, beneath the weight of every excuse, you know the truth. You were never meant for a life of hesitation. You were never called to blend into the background of an unfinished story. The fire inside you was placed there by God Himself, and no storm, no failure, no opposition has the power to put it out, unless you surrender to the lie that you were never enough to begin with. But hear this, you are enough, not because of what you've done, but because of the one who called you. The road ahead will not always be easy, but it will be worth it. The battles will come, but so will the strength to overcome them. The weight of uncertainty may try to break you, but grace will always be stronger. The enemy may whisper that you are too small, too late, too broken, but God has already declared victory over your life. The only question left is, will you step into it? This is not the time to bow to fear, not now, not after everything you fought through to get here. If you knew the lives waiting to be changed by your obedience, the doors that will open when you refuse to quit, the purpose that will unfold the moment you decide to rise, you would run, not walk, toward what God has for you. So take this moment, breathe it in, and let every excuse fall away. Then, before another second slips by, open your heart in prayer. Not a prayer of hesitation, not a prayer of half-hearted surrender, a prayer of fire, a prayer of movement. A prayer that shakes the very ground beneath your feet, because this, right now, is where everything changes. Father, you are the author of my story, the keeper of my soul, and the one who calls me to rise. You have seen every battle I have fought, every silent tear I have shed, every moment I have stood at the edge of my strength, wondering if I had enough left to keep going. Life does not slow its pace for my weariness. It does not wait for me to feel strong, nor does it soften its blows when I am already hurting. But you, Lord, you are my refuge when the winds howl, my steady ground when the earth shakes, the fire within me when I am tempted to give up. When trials press in, I stand at a crossroads. I can surrender to the weight of my burdens, or I can choose to rise, not because the road is easy, but because you have placed a purpose within me that is too great to abandon. I refuse to let pain write the final chapter of my story. I refuse to let fear dictate my future. The world may chase comfort, settling for what is safe and easy, but you have called me to something more. You have called me to walk with boldness, to carry a light that will not be dimmed, to live a life that is not ordinary but filled with purpose. Yet, Lord, I confess, there have been moments when doubt has crept in, when fear has whispered that I am not enough, when failure has told me to turn back, when exhaustion has made me question whether this fight is worth it. But today, I reject those lies. I will not be chained by my past, defined by my mistakes, or silenced by my fears. You have given me a spirit of strength, not of timidity, a calling that is greater than my hesitation. So let me walk in confidence, knowing that I am chosen, equipped, and held by the hands of a God who never fails. Help me, Lord, to stop waiting for the fear to fade, for the road to be clear, for the perfect moment to arrive. The time is now. My purpose is not hidden in the distant future. It is alive in the choices I make today, in the faith I step out with, in the risks I dare to take. Open my eyes to the doors you have already placed before me. Give me the courage to move even when I don't have all the answers. Let me break free from overthinking, from hesitation, from seeking permission, from a world that does not hold my destiny. I know, Father, that this journey will not come without opposition. The enemy will try to discourage me. Doubt may knock at my door, and obstacles will rise to test my endurance. But I refuse to be shaken. I refuse to let resistance make me question what you have called me to do. If this path were easy, it would not require faith. If this purpose were small, it would not demand sacrifice. But you have placed something greater before me, and I will not turn away. I accept that failure will come, not as a reason to quit, but as a tool in your hands to refine me, strengthen me, and prepare me for what is ahead. Every wrong turn, every rejection, every setback is shaping me into who you created me to be. Let me see failure not as an ending, but as evidence that I am stepping out, growing, becoming. Let my faith be stronger than my fear, my determination greater than my doubt. I will not live a life half-lived. I will not bury my potential in excuses. I will not let fear keep me small. You did not create me to stay stuck. You have already given me everything I need, and now it is my choice to rise, to move, to step forward with unwavering trust. This battle is not just about me. There are lives waiting to be touched, hearts needing the light you have placed within me. Let me live with that truth burning in my soul. So today, Father, I make my choice. No more excuses, no more hesitation, no more waiting for life to be easy. I will walk boldly in faith, move forward in purpose, and trust that every step I take, you will be there, leading me, strengthening me, and making a way. In Jesus' name, amen.